I welcome all of you again after the networking break. And let's move on to the next panel discussion, which is on going forward, retargeting 5 trillion economy. And for this interesting topic, we have the panel of Mr. D.S. Tripathi, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Aadhar Housing Finance Private Limited, Mr. Jugal Kataria, Group Controller, Satin Credit Care Network Limited, and the panel discussion will be moderated by Mr. Ashok Mittal, who is Chief Executive Officer in Prest Loans. So I request Mr. Ashok to please take over from here and start this wonderful discussion on retargeting 5 trillion economy going forward.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the ELATS Financial Services Virtual Summit 2020. First of all, I would like to thank ELATS for giving this opportunity to me to be on the panel and also to moderate the panel. The topic for today is going forward, retargeting 5 trillion economy. So targeting 5 trillion economy from current sub 3 trillion economy is a very, very large target, I will say, and also a vast subject to talk upon. To discuss on this topic, we have Mr. D.S. Tripathi, who is the MD and CEO of Aadhar Housing Finance Limited. And we also have Mr. Jugal Kataria, Group Controller, Satin Credit Care Network Limited. Incidentally, in this panel, three of us are from, in a way, different segment. I handle MSME segment. Mr. Tripathi largely handles, let's say, housing finance, and Mr. Kataria handles MFI, and also they have multiple other streams. So this topic is not going to be limited to the areas where we operate into, but actually it's about the whole economy of the country, which might consist manufacturing, services, trading, agriculture, and all those aspects, all those areas which impact our economy. Our idea would be to understand this 5 trillion target, to understand how we are going to achieve, which are the segments which would be actually contributing, is it achievable, and what are the challenges we are going to face when we try to target it. So to begin with, I will say that all of us must introduce ourselves so that viewers or listeners, they can see what kind of people you are talking to, and then maybe take advantage of experience which other esteemed panelists have. So my name is Ashok Mittal. I am currently the founder and CEO of a NBFC company called Prest Loans. We largely deal into MSME segment, which actually the first M of MSME, which is micro segment, which contributes almost say 95-97% of entire MSME segment. As you know, there are a lot of challenges both for this MSME segment, and our idea is to actually provide them easy and accessible credit. We are based out of Delhi. Before that, I have been a banker into say banking and financial services with Union Bank, UCO Bank, other financial institutions for say almost 3 decades. I will request Mr. Tripathi to actually introduce himself, and then Jugal.
Yeah, thank you, Ashok. I am Devashankar Tripathi. I head Aadhar Housing Finance Limited, which is a low-income affordable housing finance company. This company, over a period of time, in last about 10 years, it started in 2011, and now it is the largest affordable housing finance company in the country in terms of its penetration and in terms of its AUM. And it deals actually primarily with the economically weaker section and low-income segment. We hardly have 7-8% of our portfolio to the middle income group, but largely EWS and LIG. And a major part of this is informal segment, informal sale ride, informal business people, because you know that India is predominantly an informal economy. So therefore, it is most befitting to that particular economy, because it started with the collaboration with the International Finance Corporation, and that's why the theme and objective taken by the Aadhar Housing Finance was like that. Prior to joining Aadhar Housing Finance for 7 years, I was with Union Bank. I have been a practicing banker for about 37 years prior to joining Aadhar Housing Finance.
Great.
That is about.
Great.
Thank you, Mr. Mittal. Good evening, everyone. I am Jugal Kataria. I am Group Controller at Satin Credit Care Network Limited. We are a Delhi Gurgaon-based NBFC MFI primarily, and have 3 wholly owned subsidiaries. We have a small housing finance business, MSME arm. We do business component activity. At a group level, we have close to about 8,000 crore asset under management, out of which roughly 7-8% as non-microfinance and primarily focusing into microfinance. By profession, I'm a chartered accountant, cost accountant, and company secretary, working for 20 years with Satin Group. And prior to that, I worked with Apollo Tyres and Budget Paid into financial, into their different verticals. So that's my background. Thank you, and look forward to our discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think a good amount of experience with this panel. So I will just quickly jump on the subject which has been given to us, 5 trillion economy. So I would want to ask both of you, and then maybe turn by turn you can reply this. What is this 5 trillion economy? Why is it so important? Why we are saying 5 trillion economy? Why? Why 5? And what is the importance of this 5 trillion economy? What will happen if when we achieve this, I will say magical number, because everybody is talking about it. Because when we look at the numbers, this is not the first time when we are talking almost doubling the GDP. So from 2005 to 2010, in those 5 years, economy went from say close to $800 billion to $1.6 trillion, which means in 5 years is actually doubled. However, from 2010 to 2015, when we talk, it went from 1.6 trillion to 2.1 trillion only. So it actually did not double. It was say close to say 50% or so. And then in last 5 years, from 2015 to 2020, it is from say $2.1 trillion to $2.9 trillion. We have not been able to sustain that $3 trillion mark so far. And now we say, okay, I know that we are talking during this COVID period when everybody is down and there is a lot of concern about economy. But still, if we say, okay, we want to double from here, almost double from less than $3 to $5 trillion in say about 5 years or so. So what is the significance? What do you feel at a broad level? And then we will go maybe a little micro about it. Mr. Tripathi, you can start.
Yeah, thank you, Ashok. Why a significance of having a 5 trillion or 10 trillion economy going forward? I'll give just a slight analogy with China. China's population is 142 crore. India's population is 135 crore. Gross domestic product, that is a GDP of India, is now around $3 trillion, while China is $14 trillion. This but clearly signifies that India's per capita income is $1,900 only, while the China's per capita income is $9,400. It means if China's economy is 5 times of our economy, that in terms of GDP, it clearly says the per capita income of the people is 5 times in China what we have. That shows that large number of our people are living under poverty or in a very, very difficult situation. Even if they are above poverty, they are not living in a very decent environment. So growth in the economy clearly signifies that how the people of the country will have a decent way of living. That is the whole thing. Even if we reach 5 trillion economy, our per capita income will go to $3,600. Even then, we will be a medium class people economy. Not we are going to be a developed economy. The whole idea is that you have already mentioned that 2014 it was 1.87 trillion. And in 6 years, we could reach close to $3 trillion. Now, increasing $2 trillion by 2025, in next 4 years' time, going from March 21, because this year we should not count, this is a disaster because of COVID. And let us not go into the gloom and doom of the COVID. If from April 21 things improve, then we have precisely 4 years. Whether we will be able to reach there at that point of time or not. Now, another number I would like to give you, India is in no way lagging in certain things. In terms of milk, in terms of cotton, in terms of lot of horticulture product, in terms of spices, we are #1 in the world. In terms of startup, we are the largest country in the startup. In terms of wheat production, rice production, meat production, in terms of the so many other items, sugar, we are #2 in the world. And still with a population of 135 billion, we have large number of people who are having $1.9 per day income. That is nothing for a normal living. So that is why for the country like India, the growth in economy is important. Second point, you asked, very valid point. What does it mean? If the 5 trillion economy becomes by a number when only few people increases their lot and majority doesn't get, it doesn't serve the purpose. Unless the benefit of the growth of the economy to 5 trillion or 10 trillion in 2030 translates to large number of people, it has no meaning. That's why the ease of living is equally important when we talk the ease of doing business to achieve 5 trillion economy. And when we talk of ease of living, the large number of population, maybe around 40-50 crore people, they are neither having the health care, not proper education, not proper food, not proper nutrition, neither sanitation, not housing. The large number of deficiencies are prevailing there. If the country has to really become a prosperous country, at least for a middle class country, which actually the Bain's study clearly shows that 40-50 million people in India are today in middle class. There may be 400 to 500 million people by 2030. If that happens, then probably we can boost that my large number of people are having a graceful way of living. So now when the government thinks of 5 trillion economy, this is a very important number, which Prime Minister has showed very aspirational number, because unless you put a target, you can't work backward behind that. So that's why I must admire the government of the day, that they thought of it. And when they thought of, they're working on that. It is not they're not working on that. Now the questions comes how, when in 6 years we could grow by about 1.2 trillion, how we will go 2 trillion in 4 years. If you take the story of China in 2006 was 2.7 trillion economy. In 2009, it became 5.1 trillion economy. The China has showed us in 4 years, they can reach the number which we are actually aspiring. But only thing that China had a lot of enabling environment before 2006 to reach that number. Do we have that? I think that we will discuss going forward, because a lot of steps has been taken in last 6-7 years, and even previous years also. Every government has taken a step, but the major steps have been taken to see that how we reach there. So the most important thing, that the enabling environment has to be created. I will just a few more points. Agriculture contributes only 15% of GDP, while 56 and 58% people are living on that. That shows clear-cut unemployment or underemployment, and clear-cut undernourishment or poor living of those people. Second comes
sorry, we will come to this. I have this question separately to ask you about the segments. But
I hand over to Jugal to give his views, then I will contribute into that.
So because Mr. Tripathi has raised this one point, okay, 5 trillion means the larger population which is deprived, or larger population should get benefit of economy when we reach say $5 trillion. Yes, Jugal, please. What is your view on this? What is your take?
Sure. Thanks. So I think this topic and the timing of discussion is very important and appropriate. When in mid-2019, when the Prime Minister said that, we should aim for 5 trillion by 2025, the economy was less than trillion, and at that point in time also the target was to double the economy in a period of 5 years. Itself was a very challenging target. The economy has to grow at roughly 11.5% to 12.5%, depending upon inflation and US INR exchange rate, etc., because the target was fixed in dollar terms. So it was a very difficult target. Not have too many precedents globally in the past, where countries have grown at this pace continuously for year after year. China has demonstrated that for some point in time. India has also achieved, double-digit or close to double-digit growth in some years. But doing that continuously year after year for 5 years in a row is surely a very challenging task. Having said that, setting a target and then you aim to go into a different league or 4 economies in the world, it cannot be business as usual. One, that the target has to be aspirational, and you have to do drastic measures. COVID has impacted, and the global the supply chain is getting realigned. So I think this is very important that we think as to how we want to reach there. We surely has lost one important year, which is almost 20%, then 10-11% growth, going to degrow by roughly 10%. So the target has become much more challenging, but surely we should aim towards that and strategize and implement. As Mr. Tripathi said, China has demonstrated that this is achievable in 4 years.
Correct.
So we should also aim for that.
Great. So I think there are 2 aspects of this. One is if the economy grows to whatever level, and especially to 5 trillion, we see that the masses, the underprivileged, the people who have not been able to take advantage of growth of the economy, they will also be able to take the advantage. 2 is maybe at a what Jugal says, at a global level, our presence, the each sector of the economy will grow, and that will automatically put the country in a position globally which is desired by all the people in the country, I guess. Good. Second question which Mr. Tripathi was talking was, and this is how I would like to ask him also, that former National Development Bank Chief Mr. K.V. Kamath, he expressed confidence and in the ambition which we have that, okay, we will become 5 trillion economy in the next 5 years. Now, okay, we will become, or we will try to become, we will put our efforts to become 5 trillion economy, and in the next 4 years now, I will say. So who will contribute how much? What is your sense in that? Because when we look at these segments which we are currently, let's say, contributing to the economy, whether it is manufacturing or trading or IT services, agriculture, financial services, and as Mr. Tripathi was about to say that, so agriculture is highest, but at say maybe 15-16%. Then you have public administration services, then you have manufacturing or close to 12%. Then you have construction and mining. So when I say these segments who are, let's say, contributing significantly to the growth of economy, I'm sure to all of them, the financial services sector, let's say banks or BFSI sector, contributes a lot in terms of enabling them to achieve that growth. So when you provide finance to the agriculture sector, you provide finance to the manufacturing sector or construction or mining, that is where the economy will, let's say, grow. And so do you see any change happening in any of these compositions which we currently have, any particular segment which will grow very fast and actually help us to reach that $5 trillion? Or you think the percentage would remain largely the same which we currently have? Do you think we are having any segments or sectors which are missing and which we should include in the GDP so that the numbers are more relevant? I mean, this percentage or the composition, I want to be a little more specific. If you can share your views, please.
I have to, Ashok or Jugal?
Mr. Tripathi, you can start. No problem.
Yeah, actually, the very valid point you raised was K.V. Kamath. I think K.V. Kamath, what he has said, that perfectly fine. It may happen 2025 or 2025, 26. That doesn't matter. The main theme is that 5 trillion economy, and as early as possible. I just mentioned about in my first talk that agriculture. Agriculture, we have given a lot of focus on production. Today, we are having a problem of plenty in agriculture. Now, time has come that we have to focus more on increasing the income of the farm people. And that's why a theme is doubling of income of the farm people. Because if you continuously increase the production, the farmers will not get the proper income of that. So the three farm reforms which Government of India has recently done in the last session, these are having a significance. Forget about what debate is going on, but these reforms are aiming from production to increase in the income. Because if we are talking about 5 trillion economy, the income has to increase. And that is now largely not only focusing on how to do the marketing of those things, it is aiming on the processing of the agriculture products, the one market of the entire country instead of having APMC. This is the Commodity Act removal. And more importantly, it talks about rural infra spending. So if large amount of 1 lakh crore, which is in Atmanirbhar Bharat, the tranche 2 and 3, the Government of India had 3 and 4, Government of India had just mentioned, then 1 lakh crore they have to spend. So they have taken plethora of things, not only the direct agriculture swing, but they have taken all the allied activities, the fisheries, horticulture, dairy, everything they have taken, and they have thought more that it should be done in a more of a corporate way so that the farmer can get the remunerative pricing. So one part is agriculture. Second part comes now the industry. Agriculture, of course, partly contributes to industry also, but industry is one of the important things that we are, unless you grow the manufacturing sector, and you cannot dream of having a 5 trillion economy. With 25% contribution of agriculture manufacturing sector in the economy and depending more on service sector, it's a dream. So 5 trillion economy or any growth in the economy, because going 5 trillion, as Mr. Jugal has mentioned, depending on exchange rate, you have to grow in nominal terms for about 11-12%, and in terms of the real term 8 to 9% next 4 years. So that requires one huge spending on infrastructure, for which 100 lakhs crore rupees Government of India has already made a target. And every day, I think Prime Minister is inaugurating the one or other infra project. Second comes the unshackling of the MSME. MSME is the core sector for the India, not only for the India, for the globally for every country. In India, large employment, roughly about 11-12 crore rupees people are employed in agriculture, in MSME. 6.3 crore units are there. Largely 95% are not registered, which are informal. They are not much borrowing. And more importantly, 30% GDP contribution alone comes from MSME. And then the MSME also have 48% contribution in export. So if MSME is taken proper care, you are taking care of employment. Next to agriculture, employment is going from MSME. Second, you are going to take care of the export. And third, you are going to grow GDP. And that's the reason the government has already increased the eligibility limit of MSME from 25 crore, 50 crore loan amount, from 100 crore rupees turnover to 50 crore turnover. All those measures have already been announced. And to see that, and MSME gets impacted because of pandemic, and so many issues are there because MSME is very resilient to economy and very prone to various things like agriculture. 3 lakhs crore emergency credit line, of which around 1.8 lakhs crore is disbursed, that is in that direction. And not only that, the capital infusion is planned for MSME. The NPA MSMEs are given to subordinate debt. So many measures the government is taking. How these measures are going to be impactful, they will decide the growth of the economy. And the fourth is export. Without export, thinking of 9% growth continuously is a dream. Domestic economy is very good. We have a large domestic economy, but alone domestic economy cannot help unless you have an export, because export give you 3 to 4 times of the cost coming back. Because whatever you sell in India, you can get 3-4 times money out of that. Whether export of IT, export of services, export of manufacturing goods. And one, I think I will touch this point also, then Jugal will take over, for manufacturing. You see, in manufacturing, today's environment after the pandemic between US and China, earlier US has been consumer, China has been the supplier. Today, most of the countries of the world are going to be consumer, not only US. And lot of manufacturing sector is likely to move out. How much we will get, that is again a matter of time, how government takes the step in that. how much other countries are getting, but still Bangladesh and Thailand and some other countries, Philippines, some other countries are taking major share in textile and that. I think government has to create a very important enabling environment to attract FDI, because investment is one thing which can only take the economy to 5 trillion. Investment has to go to 41%. It cannot slog at 33%. And for that, private sector has to be heavily encouraged. I will stop here. There are other points to discuss, but I will request Jugal to contribute something. Then we will debate on that.
So Jugal, before we start, I'm still struggling to find out, and if you can help me to understand this. These various components: infrastructure, manufacturing, MSME, export, agriculture, construction or mining, who are, let's say, various components within the GDP. Do you think any shift happening? And you can also maybe include if how much financial services will help them to achieve those numbers, or you think this percentage or ratio would largely remain same? Is there like out of the box or some other kind of thought you have in your mind?
Sure. So I think it is a very difficult question to answer to my mind. I'll just take 1 minute before I come to that. What has happened that we have lost a very important 1 year out of the 5 years. So 20% of time we have lost. We were aiming for 11-12% to reach that this time. This year has given that there'll be a negative growth of around 9.5%. So we have probably pushed that target even in the normal circumstances. We should aim for reaching there in 4 years now, which means that now we have to grow at 17-18% year on year in case we want to reach, still in 24-25. So that is one important. So in case we have reached there, there's one important point that COVID has impacted the world uniformly. There might be some countries which are slightly less impacted, more impacted, but fundamentally it has impacted everybody. And the India's own story of domestic growth, consumption, ease of doing business focus, regulatory reform, so on and so. So government has done some work which will have a long-term, so to say, impact on the growth of the economy. These structural changes may not bring, so to say, progress or result very quickly. Having said that, so we have to attack all angles, both, make in India, exports, as Mr. Tripathi said, so on and so forth. It is very easy to say that, we should reduce import and work on the domestic thing and all. Till the time we'll be globally competitive, till the time we will produce quality, right quantity at a right price, the tendency of import will not go down. Similarly, export will not go up till the time we address these issues. Government has been spending money on infrastructure development, regulatory reforms. We have come up the ladder on, ease of doing business drastically. Having said that, some groundwork has already been done and a lot more needs to be done, both on manufacturing and on services side. To my because only then, we'll be able to achieve 17-18% kind of a growth. Agriculture may not, though we are primarily an agricultural economy. My sense is that over dependence on agriculture will not take us that far. So we have to give importance, equal weightage to both, manufacturing and services, and which will help us grow over a period of time. Of course, financial services has to play a very important role. A little bit more regulatory reforms in terms of, to grow NBFCs, to have access to deposit, etc., or to have access to funding, etc., surely will help other sectors to grow fast, because most of the small MSMEs keep struggling for money in case somebody is borrowing at 12, 13, 14%, growing business is challenge. So these structural, changes are required.
Thank you so much. I think I would also like to put a little bit of my view here in this specific context. Track growth, which we are looking at, and we are talking about growing the economy despite of COVID being there and a lot of fear about growth of the economy being there. That mindset, and I think we can represent India from that perspective, is itself is very important. So if we can still talk about it and still be positive about it, it is achievable. My sense is that going forward, if we have to really achieve it faster, the services would have to contribute more, because India is in a way earlier where over a period of time the contribution from services, be it export services or whatever, has been increasing. And I think the way we think, if we are to largely depend on agriculture commodities or agri, that percentage in my view would fall. So we might we might witness or see a change in the composition which we are currently seeing as far as the 5 trillion economy is concerned. So when we reach at say 5 trillion, I think this percentage would change somewhere, and we might see that services being at the top with a higher percentage of contribution, and that is the only way we can do it faster. If we have to increase the farmers' income, or let's say double the income, then we have to focus more on increase in the yield from the same land, because land size you cannot increase. So there has been, say, I will say, a lot of efforts in that, but then there are also a lot of issues whenever government or any other agency tries to increase the yield by GM crops or by using, say, any kind of technology. Then there are a lot of issues as well. Right now also we have seen a lot of issues when government comes out with, say, bills for, let us say, supporting the farmers. Then there is a lot of politics as well on that. Great point. I think my sense is this composition will change. Let us see how it actually really happens.